It has been 5 long weeks, but you can all breathe a sigh of relief now because Formula One is back. We've been resting, but the teams and the drivers certainly haven't. Big upgrades are expected this weekend. So the questions are, what's changed? Who's found the edge? And can anyone knock Mercedes off their perch? And there's no better place to go racing again than the Sunshine State of Florida. Blue skies, packed grandstands, and a weekend that always delivers a star-studded spectacle. Welcome to the Miami Grand Prix and to your weekend warm-up. Well, the paddock here in Miami always delivers the stars, and I've also got a star-studded lineup alongside me on F1 TV. Two former Formula One drivers in Juan Pablo Montoya and Jolyon Palmer, an IndyCar race winner, James Hinchcliffe. Welcome, guys. Hinch, this is your first Formula One Grand Prix weekend this season. Excited?
I'm very excited. I think everybody's excited to be back. I mean, it's been a long break, a very, very uncharacteristically long break for everyone in the paddock. Lots of unknowns coming into this weekend. So yeah, here in Miami, great venue, great event. Very excited to be back.
Yeah, because Bahrain and Saudi Arabia were obviously cancelled, so we've had 5 weeks off. I know Jolyon Palmer is rocking a lovely tan because you've been in the garden, doing your gardening, caring to your magnolias. But what do you think about the F1? Are you back in the mindset?
Oh, I'm back in the mindset, yeah.
Okay.
I've been looking forward to this for a while. The garden's looking great, but it's time to get back to business, guys. I can't wait for this weekend. I think it's going to be a reset for the season. There's been obviously a month off. There's been tweaks to the regs, but more important, I think there's going to be massive changes to the cars as well. You know, aero parts are going to be flying on all of these cars to various extents tomorrow. And we'll find out in a longer practice session than usual who's got a decent package underneath them.
Yeah, we're going to be talking all about all of that in a moment. Juan Pablo Montoya, who can knock Mercedes off their perch? Can anyone knock Mercedes off?
First of all, I think Mercedes is still going to be really strong. If anybody, McLaren. I think my money is in McLaren because their development through the last couple of years has been unbelievable. Everything they bring to the car goes quicker, always seems to behave the right way. And now it's all the new packages that start coming. I think that's going to make a big difference. Mercedes, through the last few years, they kind of struggled. They got better. And I think this is going to be a big telltale how Mercedes are going to be reacting to the new packages and new things. And, you know, if the order is going to change, it's because Mercedes gets it wrong more than anybody else is getting it right.
Yeah, well, there's lots of changes. It's really exciting. We're going to talk about it all. But Kimi Antonelli is the youngest championship leader coming into this, 19 years old. That's after he won Japan. If you've forgotten what happened, which, look, I don't blame you if you had. It's been a while. Here's a recap.
Welcome to one of the finest venues for motor racing on the planet. For the second Grand Prix in a row, it's Kimi Antonelli on pole. It is time to enjoy the spectacle of racing in Japan. The Japanese Grand Prix is underway. Watch Piastri, third to the lead. Charles Leclerc to second place. Mercedes got absolutely swamped. Kimi Antonelli from pole position to sixth position. Huge speed. Antonelli past Hamilton, he recovers a place.
Nice work, Kimi, let's get Leclerc.
Russell to the inside and takes the lead. Is it going to be pass and repass again? You bet it is. Piastri fighting for it.
Box.
George Russell really needs a clean stop. 12! It is a big crash for Ollie Behrman. The road and into the barriers.
That'll be a gear for Kimi Antonelli.
Unbelievable. We box, right?
Any third, we're boxing.
The Japanese Grand Prix has turned on its head.
And he popped off. Kimi's going to go into place up wing range.
Antonelli's been told to push. Whoa, problem for George Russell.
That is some performance differential.
Close between the Ferraris once again. Charles Leclerc takes the racing line and third place. Brilliant battling once more. Here comes the new hope for Italy. Kimi Antonelli wins the Japanese Grand Prix.
Yes, man. Let's go, man.
You are looking at the youngest ever leader of the Formula One World Championship.
Oh, what an epic start to the 2026 season for 19-year-old Kimi Antonelli. Everybody, don't forget about F1 Fantasy, by the way, because if you do very well in that, you can win some Kimi Antonelli prizes. I think you can win some of his gloves that he's used. He's got a signed cap as well that you can win, so get on that. Go to the F1 website. You can scan that QR code as well. Get involved. Okay, so Toto Wolff says that this feels like a new season, and it does actually have that feel to it, doesn't it? It feels like we're sort of starting again. Hinch, where do you think, what's going to be the mindset of some of these drivers and the teams?
Well, I think if you actually think about it, so many of them are coming into Miami probably better prepared than they were coming into Melbourne. There were so many questions in Australia. How are these cars we're going to drive? How did you maximize the package and get the lap time? They've now got 3 race weekends under their belt. They've had 5 weeks to go through all that information and really try to digest it, spend time in the simulator, work on it. So from a car standpoint, yeah, I think a lot of teams have brought a lot of upgrades, like Jolyon was saying. So a bit new for the cars, but I think it's actually a bit more familiar for the drivers, and you'll see them being able to kind of find that time a bit easier, pick up speed a little bit easier. Now they've had some time to really process how to go about racing in modern Formula One.
Jolyon, who do you think is going to have benefited from this time off the most?
I see that there's a lot of teams are bringing major upgrade packages. So we've seen Ferrari have had a test day in Monza, a filming day that they used. Both Charles and Lewis drove with loads of new parts on the car. Red Bull did the same at Silverstone, so we're expecting a lot from them. Andrea Stella at McLaren has said that they're going to have a whole new car coming, partly here, partly in Canada in a few weeks' time. And they're obviously all the teams chasing Mercedes. For me, I think I agree with Juan. I think McLaren have got a good chance. We've seen how good they are at delivering performance with their upgrades. Because it's one thing us all saying, this person's got upgrades, this team's got upgrades, whoop-de-doo. If you don't understand them and you can't actually unlock the performance with the new parts, you don't find a huge amount. Red Bull bought something to the car already. They had a couple of things for Japan and it didn't work at all. McLaren are a team that have shown season in, season out now for the last few. When they bring parts to the car, they go quicker. So I'm looking forward to seeing if they can find something. And Ferrari look like they've bought a lot as well. They look quietly confident.
It sort of feels like it's going to be a McLaren versus Ferrari. Who's brought the bigger upgrade? Who's got the best upgrade? But McLaren certainly feel very confident, don't they? Andrea Stella, their team principal, said they've got a brand new car, which is it's quite something to say.
And on top of all of this, speaking to the guys at Mercedes, they've barely bought anything here. So they said to me, they think they've got that little bit of a buffer, maybe 3/10, and that might be enough to carry them through this weekend. They are spending more time in the wind tunnel to try and bring a bigger upgrade for Canada. We don't know if that'll work because they haven't got the history of bringing parts to the car and understanding it. So that's for Canada next time out. This weekend, they're thinking this is going to be close. It's very possible that McLaren and Ferrari can find a few tenths with some new aero parts, and Mercedes are standing still.
I think something interesting there is going to show Mercedes hand how much more they had in reserve. Where they were putting everything on the table, they had a little bit of pace that they could have used more, and they were like, oh, just run not at 90%, but a couple of percentages under what the car can perform, because a lot of times they do that.
Yeah, but they in theory, they're not a moving target unless they've been holding something back, basically. So we will see.
I very much loved it earlier because Jolyon went out for a walk and he came back and he was like, I've spoken to Mercedes and they say it's going to be really close. And he had like a skip in his step. You were so excited.
Well, there's a couple of things because also this circuit, everyone's saying that this is going to be, we've had tweaks to the regs, we'll get onto that. But again, a lot of the teams are saying, we're going to see more flat-out qualifying as well. We're going to see a circuit where it's not as energy sensitive as a lot of the ones that we've had so far. Big braking zones, more time off throttle, lower speed. We're going to see, more old school racing, more old school qualifying laps, which is what I really want to see as well. So I've got double spring in my step, and we're back racing, Betty. Everything's great.
We're back. Formula One is back. Just very quickly, Juan, Pablo, how do you think the bottom 4 teams are going to fare with these new upgrades and having this extra time?
I think the bottom teams, what happens is they're going to catch up. You know what I mean? I think a lot of teams were not prepared, especially a team like Aston. They were not. I think Cadillac, we were all expected them to just go about it and finish Australia and do what they've been doing. But this is a bit of a breather to go, okay, we can reset and it's just going to close that middle ground a lot, because whoever, as Jolyon said, whoever doesn't bring the upgrades or whoever's upgrades don't work are going to put you in a really bad situation. So it's really interesting. It's really interesting because you don't know how big the upgrades are and how effective they are. You know, we all talk about, you know, deburring the floor and this, and it might be this, or it could be that, you know?
Well, it is exciting. We're soon going to find out. We're going to start answering some of these questions over the weekend. But Miami, it came on the calendar in 2022. McLaren have had a great time here over the past 2 years. Here's Lando Norris. He won his first ever Grand Prix here at Miami 2 years ago. Here he is talking you through what the track is like.
Talk us through a lap in Miami. And talk us through the corners as you would drive a lap.
Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left. Right, left, left, right, left, left, right. That's it. Turn 1, you kind of have this little undulation before you brake. Turn 1 is very exit orientated, so very easy to kind of want to overdrive and overpush into the start of a lap. But that's the complete opposite of what you got to do. Normally it's pretty hot and pretty slidey, so you can bottom out. It's very easy to lock a tire. So to be pretty smooth, disciplined with line. Miami is a track where, like, I would say sometimes feeling slow is fast. It's a very easy track to overpush. So sometimes just driving slowly is actually driving quick. Long straight, a lot of time to think about everything. And then the last corner, such an easy corner to make a mistake, to lock up, for the wind to change slightly, to get traffic. It's a difficult corner off camber, so easy to make mistakes, easy for things to go wrong. The easiest places to make mistakes are probably the first corner and the last corner. As long as you get those two right, generally you're probably on for a good lap.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how McLaren fare in Miami. Hinch, what is different about this circuit to the previous 3 races that we've had?
Well, you know, I think Lando quite rightly and expectantly summed it up quite nicely. It's a track that's so easy to overdrive on. When you think about some of the circuits we've been on, Suzuka last time out, you're pushing 10/10ths, you're really trying to find the limit of the car, you're going deeper, you're being braver. At a place like Miami, it is so easy, like he said, to overdrive it. You make a big mistake, you lose a ton of lap time, or worse, find yourself in the concrete wall. So I think the point that he made that was also really good is sometimes driving slow is fast. It's not something racing drivers are good at. It's kind of slowing their minds down a little bit and almost under-driving. It's a temporary circuit, so the track grip's usually quite low. Big track evolution over a race weekend, so you're going to see, I think that's going to be more aggressive than everywhere, maybe short of Australia, that we've had so far this year. And that just is moving the goalpost to grip for drivers. So it is a big challenge in a lot of ways, and like I said, if you get it wrong, the consequences here are massive.
Turn 1's always quite exciting, isn't it?
It is. And then I love that flowing section after that. The S's through 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 7-8 corner. I was lucky enough to go around the circuit not that long ago with our resident Grand Prix winner here. Unbelievable. It was so cool to see it from that perspective and with Juan's commentary moving as we were going along. But that turn 7-8 is just so challenging for drivers.
I am so excited because we're going to see that on the pre-race show. And I'm excited to see how you two sort of cope with each other in that environment.
He copes. I was driving.
My face was the color of the turf, I think, by the end of it. But we survived.
Oh, look, here we go. Here's what the turf looks like. Lovely AstroTurf in this heat. You can watch that on Sunday, pre-race show. That'll be exciting. So we've had a lot of upgrades. There's going to be changes there. But Jolyon, there's also been some changes and some tweaks to the regulations. Talk us through that. What sort of changes will we see?
Yeah, so the teams, the drivers, and the FIA got together in the month off, and there's been tweaks kind of on 2 counts really. The first part is a couple of safety things that have been introduced. So one is we've seen a few cars getting slow getaways where they've not had turbo spool. You're not allowed to use the MG UK to get away until you hit 50 kph, and then you get the electric power. That now changes. If the car doesn't get away well, you can use that just to make sure we're not having a Liam Lawson, Franco Colapinto sort of start, where it was an amazing save from Franco. Also, the way that you use boost is a little bit different. So you can't use that basically unless you're on a straight now where you've got the active aero open, which obviously we saw with Ollie Behrman and Franco Colapinto. But there's been other tweaks as well throughout. Lots of little things have changed, and fundamentally what it means is hopefully qualifying laps closer to the limit, less time recharging, because the recharge allowance has come down. So the teams have got to be a little bit more conservative with how they're using energy, because you can't just have these big lift-offs, some of the other tools that we've been seeing in the first 3 races to get energy back. And it's theoretically the quicker way, but it's the counterintuitive way a lot of the drivers and the teams have been explaining. So what I'm hoping and what the idea of this part is, yes, some parts on safety, other parts, we want full tilt qualifying laps where the drivers have inputs to attack the corners, to be a bit more aggressive, and then not getting punished on the straight. We'll see how it pans out tomorrow, but fingers crossed it works out well.
We will indeed. Juan, Pablo, teams and drivers have sort of had just over a week to get their heads around this. Is it going to be challenging for them to adapt?
Yeah, a little bit. I think something is going to change. Is, you know, some of the places you're going to have full power, what we had before, and the other ones, you know, the power goes on to 250. So the feeling for the drivers, I think in some of the straights are going to be different. So I think the drivers are going to be a bit surprised with that. The other thing interesting, as Jolyon said, is when you look at a lot of the data in the last previous races in qualifying, you see a lot of Ferrari in all the corners being quite good. So will this bring Ferrari a lot closer as well, especially with the upgrades? I think that's going to be quite interesting to see. I think it's going to level a lot of the playing field. Whatever Mercedes had advantage of strategy, it reset it for everybody. So now everybody's got to come up with their new strategy. And I think it's going to close the field unless somebody finds something. You always find loopholes. You always find ways to make it better. You know, this is the beauty of F1. Everybody's finding ways around the rules of staying on the legal window, but on that little gray area where you can go really fast.
Well, one team that will certainly be hoping to have a good weekend is Cadillac. They're the new team on the block this season, but they're an American team as well, and this is the first race on home turf. So, James, with that in mind, what are you expecting from Cadillac? Do you think they're going to be able to have more upgrades and sort of improve their performances?
Yeah, I mean, I think the expectation is the performance will improve. I think everybody there is pretty realistic, right, about where the team is, where the team should be. But the biggest thing is they need to see progress, right? They've had some big upgrades that they've brought. They've got more in the pipeline coming down, but they need to know that their correlation is good. That's not easy to do. We just talked about Mercedes over the last few years have had a couple really big misses on the correlation side. So it's going to be a bit of a litmus test for how that team's operating, how well their factory information transfers to the racetrack. Are they going to be up fighting for the points? No, probably not. But if they can just close that gap, everyone will have brought a bunch of upgrades. If their upgrades at least move them relatively closer to the next team in line, that's a good result. That's a good weekend. That's the kind of progress that they want to be seeing at this point of the season.
So basically it's all eyes on who's brought the best upgrade, and it's going to be quite hard to tell who, really, until Saturday and Sunday, right, Jolyon? Talk to me about Audi, because they've been pretty impressive so far this season, and they've got a new racing director now in Alan McNish after Jonathan Wheatley left. Do you think he's going to be able to, you know, improve them a little bit?
Well, hey, we're not going to find out for a while because these things don't just happen overnight. You know, it's a big corporation. Alan McNish is a promotion from within. He's been with Audi for a long time. He won Le Mans countless times with them in a really dominant spell. Former Formula One driver as well, was on the grid in 2002. So he's got such a wealth of experience. You must have...
I raced with him. For me, I was shocked he took the position. Because when you... Honestly, it's a great opportunity, but... You know, he's been with Audi as an advisor for so long. When you're in that position, if it fails, you don't go back to be an advisor.
There's nowhere to go after
There's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So it's like, he was put, I think, into a corner of like, you're the next guy. And the question is that a permanent position, or they said, hey, we want you to do this while we find a replacement, we need your help?
No, I think he's there as a permanent place. Of course, Audi, they've still got Mattia Binotto there as well, so they have the experience from Mattia, who's now able to focus more on restructuring the factory, more back at base. So they promoted a guy that they know all about, Alan. You know, he's not going to be a surprise for them. And so, yeah, I think I like it that he's taking...
No, I think it's amazing. So the hard thing is, when you think on Alan's position, you know, he lives in England or Scotland and everything. Is he moving to Switzerland now? And to be based, I mean, if you're going to take that role, you need to be, I mean, it's a lot of changes, family changes, everything. I mean, I'm amazed he took that.
Really interesting. Well, we'll get more of your insight throughout this weekend because that is very fascinating. But over these 5 weeks, there have been lots of changes, lots of different news stories. I can now send us over to our lead commentator, Alex Jakes, who's with Lawrence Barretto, to talk us through some of these changes. What have you guys been hearing? What's the gossip?
Yes, thank you very much, Betty. It is the time of year where people start to talk about the driver market. Lawrence, you're the perfect guy to take us through it. A lot of talk with GP moving to McLaren, that maybe McLaren could be a destination for Max Verstappen, but you've been hearing that's not quite the case.
Absolutely not. I don't think there is really any chance in the short term that Max is going to head to McLaren. I think the reason for that is that him and GP have built up this incredible bond where they work together. They won all of Max's 4 World Championships together. It's quite natural that there might be speculation that he might leave. There's been lots of other senior management who have left Red Bull. You might think he might want to jump. At the moment, Max was asked about it earlier today, and he said, at the moment, I'm not really thinking about that. I'm trying to think about the team turning things around. I think it's interesting that his boss, Laurent Mekies, doesn't seem too worried, at least at this stage, that Max is off. He's got a contract, of course, Alex, until 2028. So in theory, he can't go anywhere. I think what's difficult at the moment is where is his clear pathway going forward? Because at the minute, Mercedes looks locked out, Ferrari looks locked out, and McLaren looks locked out.
Toto Wolff still seems to be interested if he could get Max Verstappen's signature. He's been chasing that for over a decade, let's be honest. He is a totemic figure for Red Bull. He's not the only one in the sport, though. Fernando Alonso, many people feared this would be his last season in the championship, but signals that might not be the case.
No, I think if Max is maybe the key to the driver market, remarkably, Fernando is the second key to that. And I think that it's remarkable nearly 2 decades after he joined the sport that he has such an impact on the driver market. Now, before the summer break, or before the 5-week break that we've just had, Fernando was kind of thinking about whether he calls it quits. He's become a father, of course, and he was saying today that he feels like that's changed his mindset about how he feels about racing, to the point where he'd quite like to see his son see him racing in Formula 1.
Wow.
Now, of course, his son is only a few months old, so he's going to have to hang around for 1, 2, 3 years for him to have that memory, and that is riding on Fernando's mind. And he's so embedded in this Aston Martin project that I think he feels like if he just waits for a little bit longer, he's only 44, he feels like he's immortal. I think he really genuinely feels like he's still got what it takes to win Grand Prix, and I think as long as that exists, and as long as Lawrence Stroll and Aston Martin want to keep him, I think he quite fancies sticking around Formula 1 for a little bit longer.
It would be unprecedented. Remember, Fernando Alonso started in Formula 1 in 2001. We're talking about him going further and further into unprecedented territory. Back to you guys in the sun.
Thank you very much, Alex Jakes. Yeah, he is an absolute legend, isn't he? Let's hear from some of the drivers then, starting with Lewis Hamilton, who, I repeat, has not been on holiday.
How was your break?
I don't really have a break. It's been interesting, like people looking at it as a break. We've been just giving us more time to focus, and I've been at the factory every week. A lot of training, spent a lot of time with physio, my physios. What else? Chiropractors, recovery, just a lot of sports. Just really focusing on that. I didn't take any time off.
Oh, George, it's back to the grindstone now.
Yes.
But how has your break been? Did you enjoy yourself? Get some downtime?
Well, I was missing the racing, to be honest. I think after a week it was like I want to go back and get back to it. But I kept myself busy at the factory for a few days. I was at a kart track with Toto, Susie and their boy, which was really nice to sort of bring back some memories. And then before we know it, we're back here in Miami, so just raring to go.
And just talk to us about your expectations coming into this weekend. How much work has been going on in the factory to try and bring Red Bull together and get you further up the grid?
Yeah, the team has been pushing really hard, to try and understand a bit of our issues and try to bring improvements. So that's why I think it's nice to see what we can do here. I mean, hopefully we can be a bit closer to the guys ahead. That's the target. I don't know how close, but that's definitely what we are aiming for at the moment.
2 years ago, a very upgraded McLaren led to your first victory in Formula 1. Many victories have come since, but The car you're going to drive this weekend, are you hopeful that it will put you in contention or more in contention with Mercedes?
We hope so, but let's wait and see. We know everyone has upgrades this weekend, so we're confident it will help us move in the right direction. But in terms of quantity, how much we'll catch, how far off we'll still be, we'll just wait and see. So it's a new package, and we'll make sure our job really is just to get the maximum out of that.
Well, we're here in the paddock, and as you can see, there's been some great football going on. Gabriel Bortoleto. I mean, I wouldn't be sending him to the World Cup this summer, to be honest, would you?
No, but I don't want to roll an ankle before the weekend gets going. It's a bit risky on this turf. I'm not sure I'd be playing that hard.
It feels like it is getting hotter and hotter this afternoon as we sort of get into the evening. Now, usually at Miami Grand Prix, the paddock is absolutely busy, bustling, star-studded. At the moment, it is very quiet, hence why Gabriel Bortoleto was just out there playing football. Let's take a little look then towards the weekend, Hinch. We have got a sprint weekend, so does this throw a little bit of a spanner in the works, or does this make life a little bit more difficult for teams?
It definitely does, because so many teams are bringing so many upgrades, and with only one practice session to kind of figure them out and get it all going, get it all understood, that's a massive task. We talk about it every time it's a sprint race. If you're bringing upgrades in the last few years, it's a big challenge. Normally those upgrades are much smaller than what we're expecting from a few of the teams here. Now, F1 has made a bit of a compromise to help them out. This is going to be a 90-minute FP1 rather than just the normal 60. Every lap helps, especially if you have a little bit of a reliability issue at the start of a session maybe, or some point throughout, but it's going to make a very, very challenging day.
Jolyon, do you think that extra 30 minutes in practice is going to help a lot of the teams?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, this is going to be the most frantic Friday that they'll have had in a very, very long time. I mean, they've so much to learn anyway. Let's not forget, they've only done 3 race weekends with these cars. There's tweaks to the regs, as mentioned. There's a whole host of new parts. Guys, it's a street circuit. Right. It's going to be green anyway, you know? Well, the drivers have got to get up to speed. It's still all the same old things. Less downforce, active aero, loads of torque underneath their right foot, difficult traction zones, walls right on the side, bumpy curbs, high-speed corners. There's a lot to take in, so I don't think these things are going to be fine-tuned by the time we hit sprint qualifying at all.
Yeah, I think one of the things that are really interesting right now is because the extra time, the teams are going to be able to have a ton of strategies, run different simulations, because at the end of the day, you run a simulation of how you want to run the power, where you want to deploy, what you want to do, where you want to recharge, and there's always 3 or 4 different solutions that, you know, is going to net out to the same lap time on the simulation. And it's very different on the racetrack and what the drivers prefer. So this is going to be a good opportunity to do that. It's a good opportunity to do longer runs. You know, those extra 30 minutes is going to go a long way because realistically is the only practice you get.
You're a bit of a legend around these ends, aren't you, Juan Pablo? Have you gone around, have you spoken to anyone, heard anything interesting?
I've been rather quiet and visit today. I don't know, I've been running around. Honestly, a lot of the talk is everybody's hoping that the pack is going to be closer. Everybody's hoping that the big upgrades are going to bring the race together. Everybody's question is, are the drivers are going to be happy? You know, as soon as the first practice done, every mic is going to be on every driver waiting to see who's going to say what. And I think this is going to be really important to understand how the drivers feel. And I think the qualifying is going to be really cool because I think if the qualifying is done and you're going to see smiles on the drivers, it's going to be a big telltale on everybody.
Well, we'll be bringing you all of the action on F1 TV. Let's head back to our lead commentator then, Alex Jakes. He's standing by with Grand Prix winning strategist Ruth Buscombe.
Yes, thank you very much, Betty. Okay, Ruth, take us to the pit wall. How are we going to win this Grand Prix?
Well, Miami apparently don't start on pole because since we've been racing here the last 4 years, pole position has never won this race, which is rather weird when you think about it. So this race on paper looks like a simple one-stop, medium hard. Yeah. But actually, in 3 of our 4 races, it's been about the stop timing that's mattered. We've had 2 races. The first one in 22, safety car, gave Verstappen the win. 24, safety car, handed it back to Lando, so they did a nice little trade. 2023, we had Max doing a lovely reverse strategy, and it was only once, which was Oscar's great win last year, that was done on pure pace. So it seems simple, but it's pretty tricky, and it all comes down often to the performance of that medium tyre. Everyone's going to be watching that along with the other 1,000 things they're going to want to understand both tomorrow and in the sprint.
Half an hour extra in FP1 that strategists would absolutely love to bank that data. What's your personal preference for the strategy to win around here, albeit with the curveballs that you've just mentioned?
Oh, do you know what? I love a reverse strategy round here. I always did. High risk, high reward, coming through from P9 to win the race. I mean, I never did that, but I imagined myself doing it.
Okay, so we could get a little bit of mixed conditions on Sunday. We've had a sprint race with that, but never a Grand Prix. That's going to be factored in for the strategist's thoughts from the start of the weekend, right?
Yeah, I mean, race teams, they have procedures of how they make decisions in wet running, which is all about variables and how to deal with them better than your competitor.
Very good. It is well poised. Let's send it back to the stadium.
Lovely stuff. And Juan Pablo Montoya earlier was talking about happy drivers. Ollie Behrman walked past us a second ago. Massive smile on his face and a big wave. So take that what you will. Here is the schedule then. You will not want to miss a minute of this weekend. Tomorrow we've got the only practice of the weekend. It is an extra 30 minutes longer. So there it is, followed by sprint quali. We'll be bringing you all of the action around those tomorrow. On Saturday, we've got the pre-sprint show, we've got the sprint, and then we've got qualifying for the big one on Sunday, the Formula One Miami Grand Prix 2026. Who is going to be victorious? We will find out at the end of this weekend. Predictions, everyone. James Hinchcliffe, what do you say?
I think we're going to have a race. I think cars will go around the track, and one of them is going to win.
You're
and that's why he's paid the big bucks. I love it. It's great to have a Hinch back.
That's that key insight that, you guys have been missing, haven't you?
Yeah,
you've been missing me.
Do you know what? If you're watching this, you can go on the website and you can do F1 predictions. You can actually not sit on the fence like James Hinchcliffe, and you can actually tell us who you think is going to win, and then you can win some stuff. So how about that? Jolyon, what are your predictions?
Well, I've been saying all week that something about me just fancies McLaren to take this one. Upgrades on the car. They've won the last two races with Lando and then Oscar. And Mercedes standing still. Can McLaren climb into this title race slightly and put a bit of pressure on for Mercedes to hit back? Surely Mercedes are favourites, but I just fancy McLaren somehow.
Do you agree with that one, Pablo? What about Ferrari?
No, for me, I think it's a Mercedes 1-2. And a McLaren third. And I think this weekend is really important for George, because I think if Kimi can beat him this weekend again, it would be really hard. I think he needs to fight back and really stop Kimi's momentum.
And Kimi's good here, so that's not a foregone conclusion by any stretch, right? So it could be interesting. But I'll really answer now. I do like McLaren a little bit, because I think they're going to be quick. And as Ruth pointed out, safety cars. Like there are strategy options here. And
then you can get Ferrari involved.
Can you? I mean, no, you could.
I'm going to go for Ferrari.
Ferrari's got a lot of upgrades, and Ferrari remember McLaren is still on the same power unit as Mercedes, and with the rule changes, it might benefit Ferrari. We don't know.
The strategy is going to be important. Pitting under the safety car has been the key to all of the races. Every single one of them has had a safety car or a virtual safety car. They've been in the first third around the pit stop window, and it obviously decided the race in Japan. It's a street circuit. There is a chance, as the guy said, of a little bit of rain on Sunday as well.
So a little?
Nonsense. Yeah,
so
it could be a lot of rain.
So it's almost like we have no idea, and it could be just any one of the cars, like I originally said.
Well, there we go. Always listen to James Hinchcliffe. Hey, who needs predictions? Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to the team as well. Splendid, as always, in this hot sun at the Hard Rock Stadium. As the sun is setting, we have kicked off the weekend here at Miami. All of the highlights will be on YouTube as well, but come back tomorrow as everything gets started, all the on-track action, and we'll start answering some of those questions. Who's going to bring the heat in Miami? We'll see you tomorrow.
We in Miami, the best city in the world.
Let me introduce you to the best drivers in the world.
The energy here, the excitement of the crowd, it's incredible.
And the Miami Grand Prix is underway. This is super tight.
Oh, take a breath.
The vibe is amazing. The fans here are the best.
Oh, look at that. It's wide open for the win.
Yeah, good drive today, Max.
Yes! Lando Norris wins for the first time in Formula One. We did it! Oscar Piastri getting used to Grand Prix victory.
Nicely done.
What an amazing spectacle in Miami.